Let me bring up this article. Got it right here. It's on the line on the Landry hat. It's on the Landry hat. And so this player, let me show you what this player says. And some of you might have already seen this on X. But this player, this anonymous player, criticizes Jerry Jones. And let's look at what he was based on. It says anonymous player, Cowboys player criticizes Jerry Jones in support of Mike McCarthy. Jane Slater says players have now left the Star in Frisco and coaches finishing up their grades on players. When I asked about the mood of today's meeting with the team, head coach Mike McCarthy was described as even keeled, no tears, mainly just thanking everyone and appreciative of our hard work. She said, I asked a player if Mike McCarthy should return, and he had this to say. I only think it's fair if he gets one more shot, but more on his terms. Sound familiar? Sound familiar, anybody? Dak Prescott said this first. Now, my problem with Mike McCarthy, though, this is the second player saying this. Mike McCarthy pushed back on Dak Prescott and said he's talking like this is some of the best control he's had. He's saying this is some of the best control he's had. Now, we can argue this based on some things that we've seen. But this player, anonymous, and I appreciate Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott said it with his chest. Dak Prescott wouldn't say, he's not going anonymous. Dak Prescott said it with his chest. But this anonymous player says, but more on his terms from the standpoint of really being able to run it how he wants. He went on to say, whoever else you go with, there's going to be an unknown. But he did build something pretty good over the last 5 years with one hand tied behind his back, because it's not easy being a head coach here, but it's worth it because it's the number one brand in sports. Did you catch what he said? It's the number one brand in sports. This is the problem with this team. This is the problem with this team, because even this anonymous player, he recognizes this team being the number one brand in sports. So it leads you to believe. See, he's even speaking in a way we need to really catch on to. 53 brands, anybody? 53 brands? We got to ask ourselves, even with this comment, is he saying that people come here to win? I don't think he's saying that you come here to win. He says it's worth it. Why? It's a winning organization. It's worth it. We got a great team. It's worth it. We have a great fan base. I mean, of all the things that makes it worth it, what does he say? It's the number one brand in sports. If you want to beat Trey Songz, come to Dallas. You want everybody to know your name? Come on to Dallas. Because that's really what we've been relegated to. Because we are literally the most valuable sports franchise in the world. So we are the number one brand in sports. So if you want everybody to know your name, come on to Dallas. Come on to Dallas. So this is our pitch. This is our pitch. We have to change this. This franchise has to change this. And I got a feeling that this is some of the stuff that is being discussed between both Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones. This has to change. What are you talking about with the number one brand? That goes without saying, so we don't even need to talk about that. No, What we need to be talking about is we need to make this the place to be to win. Now, come here, man. Come here. We're trying to build something. We're trying to build a Super Bowl contender, a Super Bowl winner. Come here. There's some other things that are being talked about. Y'all know how we've been having all these injuries? Well, one of the things that they also talked about, and this is not in this article, but in another article I read about this, is the Cowboys training staff. Oh, here it is. They got it in here too. Look at this. So let's go back up here. So look at this. It says, at the same time, the anonymous player wants Jones to get McCarthy more help in one area, the weight in the training room. The weight in the training room, more help. I mean, like more bodies, the player said. Most places got so many hands on deck to cater to guys. Britt is awesome and cares a lot, but he only has a couple of guys to help. Same with Harold. He has the respect and love of the locker room, but having another person or two to focus solely on recovery, managing, etc. So players feel more taken care of and the staff can focus on building the performance program more. So they're saying something. I want y'all to think about this. The number one sports brand, the most valuable sports franchise in the world has one of the weakest staffs in totality in football. Our coaches are underpaid because we have a coach that believes in the tolerance of ambiguity. He's saying that unless we win Super Bowls, no one's going to get big money around here. So he's going to pay everyone on the lowest part of the scale he can. Everybody. You want to know where some of that value comes in at? Because the bottom line comes in from what they do outside of that salary cap. How much money are they saving? How much money are they spending? All of these different things. And Jerry Jones. I love Jerry Jones as an owner. But this is shameful. This is absolutely shameful. This is a very important part of your team. Weightlifting, conditioning, and injury recovery. This player is basically saying they're understaffed. The players are not being taken care of. They're understaffed. And so when we think about the injuries that they've had, players always, it seems like they're coming back, but they're playing hurt. You want to know why some of this stuff is going on? The player makes an excellent point about Dallas being understaffed in the weight room. It's impossible to say if the team's injury crisis is a product of that. But an extra few coaches would certainly lessen the burden on Director of Rehabilitation Britt Brown and Strength and Conditioning Coordinator Harold Nash. And y'all think about it. We were getting on this particular part of the team. Man, what's going on with all these injuries? Well, part of the injuries is conditioning. If you're not conditioned right, you get injured. If you don't have people helping you rehab right, you get injured. I'm telling you, man, I guarantee you, Mike McCarthy is probably talking about some of these things. I bet you Mike McCarthy is talking about some of these things, and he should. I'm not big on Mike McCarthy, but you know what? I'm not going to be mad if they bring him back. Because I do think that they're both probably trying to get these points in. Because I think the other point is that the Joneses are probably trying to get across to Mike McCarthy, and we need to start thinking about this. Is Mike McCarthy willing to be the head coach here without play calling? Because I'm going to tell y'all something. Play calling is a part of who Mike McCarthy is. And if you think about these coaches who like to call plays, They would rather, in their minds, they would rather have their fate in their own hands by their own play calling rather than their fate being in the hands of someone else trusting them with the play calling.